So good morning, back to it. Another wet Wednesday in Yorkshire. I had a great day yesterday going to the casting. It was really good to get back to work, but it's nice this morning to be able to connect with everybody again on here. And I'm really excited about this morning's guest. It's another lady that I've met through social media, and it just shows you the power of these connections that we can make through Instagram and Twitter and Facebook to find like-minded women that we can connect with. So this morning I'm going to have the pleasure of talking to Laura Shuckburgh, who is Marvellous Midlife, and we do share the same passions of embracing our age, and I can't wait to find her more about her story. So I'm just going to introduce you to Laura. Good morning, Laura.
Morning. Hello, how are you?
Good morning. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. Thank you so much. It's lovely to connect. We were saying before we just came on how you do feel like you've made a connection with somebody you already know them on social media, don't you? It's weird.
It is weird. It's almost like you've got friends all over the place, all over the world, and actually you've never met them, but you feel like you kind of, you know them, and you kind of do, really. I think if we met up like on here for a coffee or something, we would, I'm sure it would be fine and good, and it'd be like meeting an old friend, really, when you see some of these people.
Exactly.
I've met loads of nice people. I've met loads and loads of really nice ladies.
Brilliant. Belated happy birthday. I know you had celebrated your birthday. How have you found lockdown? How have you managed with it?
Well, I've actually really liked it. I've really enjoyed it because I even though I like socializing, I think I'm a little bit of an introvert in many ways. So to me, I'm a bit of a homebody as well. The quieter sort of pace of life fits very well with kind of like the lifestyle that I'm working towards. I'm after a simpler life. So to me, lockdown has been interesting, and also I just think it's I like the fact that I think it's been a bit of a wake-up call to the world, really. It's almost, to me, it's almost something that's needed to happen, and I just hope that we can take away the lessons from it, really, and carry on a little bit and not just get straight back into the way it was.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, like yesterday was my first time going out on a train. I went to Birmingham, and it felt weird. And as much as I want to get back to working and kind of get back out there in life, I don't want it to just be normal life. I want the things that I've kind of resonated with me during lockdown to stay. So it'll be interesting to see if we can make that balance, won't it?
Yeah, and I think I went into Birmingham on, funnily enough, for the first time this week as well, and the trains were very quiet, weren't they? And the streets are quieter. It's different. Life is different now.
Yeah,
a little bit different, but I think for the best.
Yeah, I do. And talking of life being different, your life has definitely kind of taken a change in the last few years. What were you doing before you started Marvellous Midlife?
Before I started, I was I was modelling part-time, because before for many years, for 20 years or so, I was a model. That was my career. So I was still always doing a little bit. But then when I moved from Grassington down to Leamington, my husband's an architect. So I kind of just sort of started doing a little bit in the office and helping him with some social media and, helping out and stuff. So I was eventually, by the time I sort of hit peri-menopause, I was kind of working really pretty much with him all the time, doing all the business development for an architecture practice.
And did you know about the peri-menopause before it happened and before you got the symptoms, or was it a complete shock to you? Because I know for me personally, I had never heard of the peri-menopause until I went to the doctors, and I had no idea what was going on. No,
I hadn't got any idea, and I think that's why I'm so passionate about kind of helping to raise awareness now, because I don't think any of us knew, did we? We weren't. No. I wasn't taught about it. We're not taught about it at school where we should be. My mum, looking back, I think definitely went through it, but didn't really talk to me about it. And I don't know whether she knew she was even in it. But peri-menopause just crept up on me.
Yeah,
I thought I was too young as well.
And how old were you when you first started?
I was about 44, 45, 46, I reckon. And it was just a creeping up, because I've always had quite bad PMT and PMS. And I actually think that I was probably I was undiagnosed as having PMDD, which is just a more severe form of it.
Right.
And I just thought I was just getting more and more of those symptoms all the time. And that's kind of, I was very anxious. I lost my confidence. What else happened to me? I just felt like I wasn't myself. you know, it's almost like I wasn't me. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to see anybody. I became a little bit agoraphobic, couldn't go into meetings. The panic would, you know, panic attacks over things that would never have normally worried me. Yeah. What about you? How did you know then?
I had, the definitely increase in anxiety over ridiculous things. And for me, it was traveling and driving. I really had struggled. You know, I would find myself driving out of the car park because I couldn't get my head around parking somewhere, and I just had to come home. Really stupid, and it's never been an issue before. And the night sweats I struggled with, and actually now I'm on HRT, that's calmed down. But it was more the brain fog for me and the mental changes that I really struggled with. Just not feeling myself at all. I felt like somebody else had taken over my body. That's the only way I could describe it. And I didn't know how to deal with it and what to do.
Yeah. And I think because I know we talk about mental health a bit more now, but because they are invisible symptoms, the mental ones, the anxiety and all those kind of the brain fog and everything, it's very difficult for other people to then understand.
Yeah.
And for you, you know, for even family members, people at work, it's very difficult for them to know what you're going through. And there's a stigma attached to getting older. So then we don't want to sort of either maybe admit it or talk about it. And I just, you know, it's just crazy to me, really. I just started doing loads and loads of research in the end. I did all my own research because I just thought, you know, sometimes I'd get up in the morning to go and get dressed for the office, and I couldn't even decide what to wear, you know, that even that small decision of that would have me in tears or something, you know, ridiculous stuff that's just not like me. So I just thought so then I was just like, on these days when I couldn't get up and do anything, when I had to be like in bed for the day, I just started researching and just realized, oh my goodness, you know, this is peri-menopause, you know, I'm in the early stages of menopause and I don't need antidepressants. I need to go and see a GP, or I started on the health supplements to start with and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. And so what point did you start thinking about, actually, I could help others, and I'd really like to set Marvellous Midlife up? Where did the inspiration come from for that? Was it a gradual process? It
was a gradual process because at the same time I trained to be a coach, and that was through my work at the architecture practice. I did I started an ILM level 7, which was organizational coaching, because I thought I could help people in my office, and that was the plan. But going through the whole process of coaching, I realized that I'm not the best person to coach people in the office because I knew them too well. And there's a kind of, it's not the best ethically, but through doing my training, I realized how much I love coaching. And it was like, you know, sort of one of those light bulb moments where you think, oh my goodness, I really want to do this. I want to be able to help people. And then from doing the coaching, I realized that I could combine my knowledge of and my own experience of menopause and my love of kind of, you know, like helping women through this, you know, being in a very ageist society. And I just thought I could combine them all together.
Yeah.
And really, I just started Marvellous Midlife as a blog, really, as a starting point, because I just thought I don't want anybody to go through what I went through and not have any help out and not think that they're on their own and there's nobody knows how they're feeling.
Yeah.
But since doing it, I don't know whether now we're in it, you probably has also found that there's quite a lot of help out there when you start looking.
Yeah. Definitely. I think in the last 5 years, I've noticed that there's definitely more of a community feeling for women to be able to go and find out information and talk to other women and have these conversations like you and I are saying, because you do feel very alone and you feel like it's only happening to you and you almost feel embarrassed to talk to your friends about it. I know I didn't have any of my friends at that time when I first started going through it that had the same experiences or same symptoms. So it's a hard discussion to have. So now I definitely think it's changed in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I do as well. And I just think if there's more and more people need to talk about it, we need to open up and we need to have, you know, conversations about it so that people aren't in the dark. Because it's not just us, you see, it's not just us, it's the impact that it has on our families. And I mean, my husband and I have nearly divorced a couple of times, and since I've been in peri-menopause, because I go up and down so much and just can't go with my feelings, or can't feel as though I just want to go and run off. And actually, when I first discovered I was in perimenopause, after doing all my research and saying to you I was in the bed and everything, I decided that I wanted to, I couldn't cope and I needed to be on my own. And so I moved out of the family home for a year and went and lived on my own with my son, just so I could just have some space and just to sort of like, I don't know, just kind of lean into how I was feeling about stuff. And we're still together, my husband and I. So that space was actually quite good for us. We've worked through it. But I know that a lot of men, my husband has suffered a lot through my perimenopause. And I do think that we need to open up the conversation so that our men and people in offices and our work colleagues know how to recognise the symptoms and how to help you.
Yeah, I mean, you just touched on the workplace there, which I know is something that you're really passionate about helping. Because how do we broach that subject at work? How do women kind of make their symptoms and what they're going through known to work in a safe space?
Not very easily is the answer. I mean, it really is. There's only about 1 in 3 workplaces that have a policy in order at all about menopause, and it's fascinating really, because when you think that menopausal women are one of the fastest working demographic, and so we are all living longer. Women, when we, you know, our grandparents and stuff would have stopped working, maybe died after they'd gone into menopause after a few years. Now we're all working through 8 out of 10 women are working through their menopause, and a lot of women are leaving because they are in organisations that are not open to it. They're not talking about it, and they don't feel as though they want to be the ones to bring it up.
Yeah.
So what I do, I go into workplaces and organisations, and I do a few different workshops. I mean, they're online now, but just menopause awareness workshops, manager line training workshops. And these are proven to be really beneficial. You know, I get guys coming up to me afterwards and saying, look, I had really no idea that my wife was feeling like this, or I recognise that, thank you so much, now I know what it is. And it's like a sort of just the acknowledgement of it, really. But then a lot of workplaces are getting better at it, and there are people, and it's usually a champion, it's usually somebody like us who works in a work, who's at work and who knows that they're struggling and wants to help other people. So then they become like a bit of a menopause champion, and maybe they go and talk to their manager about what would be helpful, or set up a menopause cafe, which is a really good one, so that women can kind of drop in. But it's, you know, line managers, when I do the training with them, we do sort of scenarios and role play about how they can have these sensitive conversations and how they can notice if somebody's feeling like it. Because also it's very different for every woman, isn't it? So I think this is the thing, we're all unique, so it's not one size fits all. So it's quite a complex issue in many ways, but as soon as you can start talking about it, and you don't get people kind of, oh, you know, she's a menopausal, or she's old, and all that sort of reference, that it's something that every single woman will go through. So let's talk about it, as much as, like, you know, puberty or what have you. Then we can start to make changes.
And you touched on something there that I really think there's still this ageism kind of label attached to it, especially in the workplace as well, for women, alongside the menopause, that I think is really difficult. I know you embrace your age, and you try and encourage other women to do that rather than seeing it as a negative. How do we change society's attitude to ageism? Because it is still there, isn't it?
Well, I think we've got a long way to go, really, Rachel. I mean, if you think about being in the modelling industry now that you're in, and I was in it for so many years, and how we're meant to look a certain way, and all the airbrushing that goes on, and it's all about revering youth and keeping us looking young, and how you can make yourself look young. Until we start addressing that, I don't know. I think we've got a huge lot of work to go on that. Because if we lived in a society like in India and Japan especially, they love and revere their older family members, so that they look after them, and they are so open to their wisdom and learning from them, and have such a lot of respect. And I'm not sure we have that respect so much in this country.
I think
in places like America. And I think we've got to, it's down to us individually, I think. It's about not going with it all, not having all the surgery, letting our hair go grey, which I'm in the process of doing at the
Yes,
moment.
it looks lovely. It looks nice.
I can't wait for it to all be grey now.
How do you feel about it? What made you decide? How do you feel about your grey hair? Because it looks gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. Well, lockdown's helped, but I've been thinking about it for about a couple of years now. But it's funny because when I say to people I'm going to do it, they go, "Oh, don't, Laura, it's going to make you look much older and everything. Don't do it." And you just think, well, there in it, there's a little snippet, isn't it, of what we need to kind of push against. Absolutely. So it's almost like I'm doing it because I don't want dye next to my scalp anymore, because I think it's dangerous and horrible. And I'm also doing it as a little bit of a
kickback.
Yes, that's exactly. I was trying not to swear there. Just thinking, I can still look sexy and be attractive and have silver hair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you noticed more women though now since lockdown, or I don't know whether it's just because I'm going silver, you've been there for a while now, that are doing it, and you kind of see them, and I sometimes even go up to somebody and tell them how lovely they look.
Yeah, I do. I really make an effort now too, especially when people are transitioning, because it is a really difficult thing to do. You do go through stages where, some days you'll love it, some days you'll hate it. But I think it's really great to be able to go up to a woman and say, well, it looks great. I love that colour. It's going to be fantastic on you. It just gives them a boost. 5 years. So I stopped colouring when I was 45, but I had super short pixie cut. So it grew out really quickly. So
that's what I'm thinking of doing though in a little while.
Yeah, it did. It really, because I always had short hair. So it was that short. Yeah. This is the longest I've ever had it. So it just was easy. It was an easy kind of route to take for me. But I did put it on Facebook the week I decided I was going to stop colouring it, to my friends, and said, "That's it, I'm ditching the dye, I'm going grey." And there was only one or two nice comments. Same as you, everyone was half jesty. "Oh, you can't be my friend, you're going to you look too old, go away, granny." And then there is that thing, well, okay, right, well, I am going to do it now, even more so.
Yes, I definitely am going to do it. I think it's good. I think everybody needs to make a bit of an effort, and we need to make a stand against it and stop buying into all the kind of marketing as well, about skincare, that this is going to make you look younger. It's not about always wanting to make you look younger. It's about being accepting of where you are now, surely.
So who's your typical client then for coaching? Because it's not just about the menopause. You do so much work about embracing yourself at your age that you're in, and building that confidence again. Yeah,
my clients tend to be sort of between the ages of 40 and 60, and I do coach men as well.
Right.
And I like people who really kind of want to make a change. So who are kind of somebody who wants to do it, you know what I mean? I like people who are go-getters. And sometimes when you get to midlife, you just lose yourself a little bit, that's all. And I help people find the best version of themselves, because it's always there, and I believe that we all, have so much to give and so much that's in us, but sometimes it just takes some external help to get it out.
Yeah. I know it's something you've talked about kind of self-sabotage in the past, haven't you? You've talked about how people really can stop themselves from doing things by self-sabotaging themselves and have that imposter syndrome. How do you get past that?
Well, your coaching is a really good way of getting past that. I think we all get it. I get it sometimes as well. I still do, but I have coaching as well. I think it's a matter of, it's a confidence thing. It's working on what you've got and having a plan as to where you want to be. And imposter syndrome can come, but sometimes it's about the little voices inside us, On one shoulder you've got, I can do this. On the other side you've got like a bad voice that's saying that you can't do it. And it's about recognizing those and not listening to that one and listening to the good voice. But I'm an NLP coach, so I use quite a lot of techniques in NLP. So for instance, you were talking earlier about the driving. Well, I had that so bad at one point that I would be on the motorway and I'd get so panicky that I would think to myself, I'm going to have to pull over on the hard shoulder, or on a road, I'm going to have to pull over now with sweaty palms and heart going, racing it. And with some NLP techniques, I have learned to control that now and manage it. And only occasionally do I get it a little bit, but I can talk to myself, use some techniques and pull myself out of it. So it's about that. There's a lot of techniques that we can use to help us with lots of imposter syndrome or phobias or self-limiting beliefs, all those sorts of things. We can work on those.
Have you surprised yourself along this journey about, the experiences you've had through the menopause and what you're doing now? Have you surprised yourself on how content you are in life now?
I have surprised myself in the fact that, gosh, that's a good question, isn't it? Have I surprised myself? I'm quite hard on myself sometimes, so I have to think about the things that I've done, and I like what I'm doing now. I've always been wanting to find something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And so finding something that I'm passionate about has not surprised me, but it's made me happy, and I love doing what I'm doing. I'm sorry, I find that quite a hard question to answer.
No, it's so true. I'm exactly the same as you, though. I feel like I found something that I'm really passionate about and absolutely love doing. And I knew it was inside me, but I just didn't know how to get to that point. So I suppose from my point of view, I'm surprised. I'm surprised it's ended in this route, but I'm not surprised that I found the thing that I feel like I was meant to be doing, if that makes sense.
Yes. And so what is it for you? What is it that you've actually found? Because I know you do your podcasting, your modelling. What is it?
Yeah. I love the modelling. I absolutely love the modelling. So that's a big part of what I'm really passionate about. But connecting with women and being able to share people's stories and the podcasting and interviews, I absolutely love doing. I really, really, just fills my day with joy. It gives me something to look forward to in the morning when I get out of bed. I love it. So that's been a real blessing. I've really enjoyed that, particularly like during lockdown. It's been fantastic to keep these connections going.
Yes, I bet it has. And you're sort of like you are such a pioneer and a champion for women embracing how they look and being confident. You are that embodiment of that, really, when I see you online, and I love that about
thank you. So let's quickly talk about modelling, just really briefly. How old were you when you started?
Well, I think I had my first pictures taken when I was about 15. I entered a competition called Face of the Midlands, and Fiona was in. Fiona Pemberton.
Yes, yeah.
She won it, and I came second, and that's how I got into it. And then from there, I just sort of signed up with an agency in Birmingham and just did it then for most of my life until I was about 40, 45, really, I suppose. And then I still do the odd job now. I'm doing a modelling job with my husband in a few weeks.
Oh, brilliant.
It's interesting. I've managed to drag him into it as well.
Oh, I love it. Have you
go on with modelling? There's just one thing though with modelling. I don't think I ever realised how wonderful it was when I was doing it. It's one of those things that now I look back on it, and I travelled all over the world and did loads of trips and stuff. I met so many lovely people. I didn't quite appreciate it when I was doing it.
Yeah. And have you seen changes though in the years that you've done it? Talking about ageism and the pressures that women are put under and the scrutiny that you get. Did you see changes in those 20 years into the model industry and the fashion business?
I noticed that more and more people were doing it, or more and more people were thinking they could do it, and I think there was a change towards, and there has been a bit of a change towards people sort of more normal and more sort of normal people doing it, which I think is good. So everybody wasn't kind of so modelly.
Yeah.
But in terms of how they use modelling and the way that media and women are portrayed in it, I'm not sure there's been that much of a change. Do you think so?
No, but I think you're right. I think there's been just in the short time I've been doing it, there's definitely more relatable models that women can relate to out there. But I still think we've got a long way to go before it's.
I do.
Especially for our age group, I think there's a huge way to go. I think the kind of 35 to 55 bracket is really hard, but we'll see.
I think they're missing a trick there, really, don't you?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people of our age who've got disposable income, and if they're not marketing to us, they must think we're a bit stupid.
Yeah,
they're literally missing a trick.
Yeah,
I went past in the body shop the other day, and there was a picture of a woman in there and something about ageism, and she was about 25. Yeah. She was talking about, and then in the little pots, it was this youth concentrate on this woman who was about 25, and I just thought, well, that's
just not right.
You're ridiculous.
Yeah. So what's next for Marvellous Midlife? Where do you see it going? What would you like to achieve? I know you're doing a new coaching course, aren't you? What's that about?
Yeah, I've got a new coaching package that I'm working on at the moment, which is I'm going to be releasing that very soon. I've got 10 spots to release for that. And that's a 12-week program. And this is a whole body and mind coaching and mentoring program. So it's one-on-one coaching online, looking at things like losing weight, sleeping better, helping with anxiety and mood, getting fitter, it's like a roadmap for sort of midlife and menopause. There's a menopause part to it, and self-development as well, because I just thought it's nice to have a whole sort of body and mind package. So that's really exciting. I'm really looking forward to doing that, because I'm into my fitness and eating healthily, and I want to help combine that, because a lot of people, when they worry, the main issue that I hear with a lot of menopausal women is they're putting on weight, especially around their tummy. They can't sleep, they're having hot flushes, and they're anxious. And I want to try and address all of those things and help people in a holistic way.
Fabulous. Sounds great. I shall look forward to seeing the details of that. So how can people find you, Laura?
You can find me on my website, which is marvellousmidlife.co.uk. You can go on there and subscribe to my newsletter, and I'll send you any about the coaching program at Marvellous Midlife on Instagram, and I'm on Twitter at Marvellous Midlife, and on Facebook I've got a Marvellous Midlife page, so you can find me on there too.
Well, thank you so much. It's been lovely to connect with you and talk with you today and find out so much more about you. And yeah, just hopefully one day we might meet in person, which would be great.
That would be lovely. Thank you so much,
Thank
Rachel.
you so much, Laura. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Well, that was really interesting, and I hope you found that inspiring. I know I have, and I will be going to look up more of Laura's details. Tomorrow I will be talking to Lynn Coates, and Lynn has a similar path to me, but she went back to university in her mid-40s to get a degree, and actually an MA, and is now completely changed her career around and is a travel journalist. So I'm really looking forward to meeting Lynn tomorrow. So enjoy the rest of your day.